I started my day off watching a series about man versus giant man-looking cockroaches. How about you? So this is going to be my first impressions on Terra Formars Episode 1, the official anime, not the OVAs. And I also wanted to dispel a couple things because for anybody that has actually checked out the OVAs or you're just watching this for the first time, there's probably a bit of confusion, but I got to the bottom of it because I've only seen up to this point the first OVA and I've read all of Volume 1 of the manga. Now, in a sense, this and all of Bugs 2, which I believe is what the OVAs is going to cover, is basically Chapter 0 of the manga. This is basically prior to the actual manga beginning. This is the story of characters that went and ventured off to Mars and had their incredible battle against the giant, ferocious cockroaches. And basically, this story takes place 20 years prior to where the story we watched in this first episode started. So in a sense, this is a prequel. So initially coming into this one, I didn't know what to expect. And I feel with this episode 1, opposed to the OVA, this is a more gradual and slow progression into the big action pieces and into the story. This one is a better way of introducing, because with the OVAs, while it just kicks into the action, and I honestly love Volume 1 of Terra Formars, it really just kind of throws you out there, and you're just like, what the fuck is going on? You got just man, you got roaches snapping necks, you got all sorts of shit going on. And I highly recommend, by the way, that you either read Volume 1 of the manga or watch the OVAs, because they are important and they do showcase the beginnings of basically this journey. And seeing the main character, Akari, basically fighting a bear in the beginning, I was like, right, human versus bear, who's gonna win? But then when he just went apeshit and fucking suplexed the bear, I was like, holy shit. I gotta say, the censorship though, it's like Tokyo Ghoul all over again with this one, because the censorship was real in this one. I mean, we were looking at 15 seconds straight of a black and white screen because they just censored the living shit out of it. I know it'll be cleared up in Blu-rays, but as far as the streaming goes of watching this, yeah, that was just absolutely really censored, and it's like, come on with the censorship at the end of the day. It's a freaking man-eating bear, and he's fighting for his life. I mean, I don't want to see guts and bones and everything, but the amount of censorship in this episode, my gosh, I mean, come on. And seemingly the characterization we got of the main character, Akari, thus far, basically very simple. He has somebody that kind of seemingly helped him in the past, and he was there looking out for that person that was sick, and he wanted to help out that person, and that's why he went into this death match, got involved with some wrong people, and kind of like, you know, basically leads into where he's at right now. Now, with this main character, so far it seems he's a compassionate person. Pretty, so far, very simple. There's not too much that we know about this guy. He seems as though he's very passionate. When he wants something, he goes full force. He's not going to hold back. And he seemingly is pretty fucking kick-ass. Although there's definitely a bit of mystery to the character thus far, because he had some genes inside of him from his actual parents that gave him superhuman abilities. So that kind of makes you wonder, is there some sort of connection to the first series with this character? Maybe his parents was on Bugs 2 or even Bugs 1 for that matter. Definitely kind of leaves you a little bit questioning what exactly is his origin or his heritage with his parents. And to be honest with you, one of the big things about this one is I really wish in a way that they either should have played the OVAs and then start off with the anime like straight, because it does get a little bit confusing, and even if I explain it to you guys, it still kind of feels a little bit like they should have just had, you know, Chapter 0, you know, the first few OVAs as the first few episodes in a sense, so that way we could lead on. So when you come into this one, you'll see one of the characters, the guy with the glasses, Shokichi, and you're like, holy shit, it's him. I kind of feel bad for the people that only seen OVA 1 thus far, because this kind of spoils a little bit of like who survives. That character Michelle in this one, I love her personality. Her characterization thus far is like, yeah, I'm a bitch. I can be nice sometimes, but you better watch how you talk to me and watch how you treat me. So far she seems like a pretty chill person and an interesting, you know, badass. And one of the qualities of Akari that I like so far is he's not very generic as far as like, ooh, I'm scared of women. He was straight up looking at Michelle's jug, so we know that he's a manly man, and I'm not going to get pissed off at him for like being scared of boobs, although I'd imagine there's not going to be too much time to be actually trying to get with anybody when giant muscular roaches are coming at you. Art and animation for this first episode, art looked absolutely beautiful, especially the scenes where he's like fighting that bear. They made it look really graphic and gory, even though they censored most of it out, but it actually looked really good, and the animation looked very fluid as well. So art and animation check, good stuff there. Also, seemingly the exposition of this, because if you're familiar with the prequel series, basically the reason why they go to Mars is because overpopulation and they want to kind of inhabit Mars there. But with this one so far, from what we can gather, basically there's some sort of virus and they're trying to find a way to stop it. So kind of this one, the story is a little bit different in a sense on why they're venturing out. Although it's kind of interesting that it's seemingly every 20 years, based on what we gathered thus far, that they go to Mars. And it's almost as if somebody's pulling the strings. Like every 20 years they want somebody to go to Mars. Like Bugs 1 apparently went 40 years ago. Bugs 2 with Shokichi's group went 20 years ago. And now they're going to Mars as well. So it's like, what, in 20 more years we're going to get Bugs 4? And a lot of introductions with this episode. To be honest with you, definitely not as action-packed as like the OVAs started or whatnot. Mainly the big action they got in this one was with the bears. But as far as setup and exposition as to the story and what's going on, so far seems very good stuff. And to be honest with you, one of my main complaints is basically I wish that they would have just had the first few episodes been Bugs 2 and kind of follow with the manga, because even though technically this is supposed to be chapter 1, it kind of sets up a little bit of a weird realm there where it's kind of like, well, who is this Shokichi? Why should I care about Bugs 2? How the hell did they capture this giant man-looking roach in there? So a lot of setups that kind of would have made a little bit more sense, and a lot of the confusion could have been dispelled had they just followed straight away. I mean, this easily could have been a 24-episode series instead of doing 12 or 13. But for a first episode, very good stuff. I'm going to give this one 8 out of 10. A lot of setup and introductions, but it looked beautiful. Had some great exposition as to what's going to be going on. Characters seem interesting thus far. Akari, I would like to get a little bit more into his personality, a little bit more into his backstory, but of course that will be with due time. And Michelle, seemingly, is going to be my favorite character thus far because she looks like some badass blonde that don't take shit, but at the same time she can, you know, warm up, so it has a little bit of that tsundere to her. I'm just really hoping that they don't continue with the censorship because, my gosh, they're making Ghoul look like they didn't censor anything. And yeah, I highly recommend go watch the OVAs. I know OVA 1 is out. And if you want to get the full picture, because the OVAs aren't complete as of the recording of this video, then go read all of Volume 1 of the manga. This right here, because this covers the entirety of the story that's going to be told in the OVAs. But yeah, very good stuff. Looking forward to seeing what comes next, and I'm imagining there's going to be a lot of brutality and carnage, but kind of gets me scared with the censorship. But let me know what you guys thought of Terra Formars Episode 1. What was your favorite character? What do you think about the situation that they're in? How did you feel about the censorship? And were you a little bit confused if you've seen the OVAs or you've heard about the OVAs and you're kind of like, wait, what's going on here? And just your overall thoughts. Very good stuff. Great introductions. I'm looking forward to seeing more and less censorship. But that's all I have for this review. Thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed. If you liked anything I had to say or enjoyed the video, drop me a like. I'd greatly appreciate it. And if you haven't subscribed, if you could do so as well, that would be awesome. I'm ForneverWorld, and as always, people, have an awesome day. And don't get killed by any muscular man-looking cockroaches.